Hey there, I hope you guys had a great spring break. So today we're going to start solving equations by factoring. So, for example, we could have x squared plus 4x plus 3. So you're going to do the same exact thing that we've been doing with factoring. So for example, we want to factor x squared plus 4x plus 3. So we want to see what multiplies to 3 and adds to 4, which is 3 and 1. Then we have the same signs, and we look back, they're both plus. So now normally that would be our final answer, but now it's set equal to 0. So in order to find our solutions, we're going to set each of our sets of parentheses equal to 0. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. And now you just solve the equations. So subtract 3, x equals negative 3. Subtract 1. X equals negative 1. So now this is our final answer. So we're just taking our factoring one step further to solve for what x equals. We could also have x squared minus 25 equals 0. So if you remember, this is the difference of two squares. So you take the square root of each one, square root of x squared, square root of 25, and one's plus, one's minus. And now it's set equal to 0, so you have to set each set of parentheses equal to 0. So x plus 5 equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0. So we subtract 5. X equals negative 5, and x equals positive 5. Now let's look at 3x squared plus 16x plus 5 equals 0. So now this is taking our factoring a step further of what we've just been doing, because we have 3x squared instead of 1 as our leading coefficient. So 3x squared can only be made up by doing 3x times x. So that gives us our 3x squared. Now we want our two last numbers to multiply to 5, and we want these sums to add to 16. So, just thinking out loud here, if we put a 5 here, 3x times 5 gives us 15x. So then 1 times x gives us 1x. 15x plus x gives us our 16x. This means they're the same sign, so we look back and they are both plus. But we're not done. We want to set each one equal to 0. So 3x plus 1 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0. So we want to subtract 1, 3x equals negative 1. Divide by 3, so x equals negative 1/3. Then over here we just subtract 5, so x equals negative 5. Some of them might be harder to factor, so let's look at one where we have more than one option. 6x squared plus 19. Actually, I'm not going to do that one. We're going to do ones with different signs. 10x squared minus 31x minus 14 equals 0. So, I like to try to start with the two numbers here that are closest together. So I'm going to try 5x and 2x. It doesn't always work, but then we can always try something new. So 5x times 2x gives us our 10x squared. This number times this one has to equal 14. Then these two sums have to subtract to 31. So if we multiply 5 times 7, that gives us 35x. To get this to 14, we need a 2 here, so that gives us 4x. And 35x minus 4x does give us 31x. So now we have to figure out our signs. So this sign means that they're opposites. So we look back, our bigger sum here gets the first sign. So 35x is our bigger one. So we follow it, our curve around. So the negative has to go with the 7. So our positive goes with the 2. So it's not always the bigger number, it's the bigger product. So now we have this factored, we have to set each set of parentheses equal to 0. So 5x plus 2 equals 0. 2x minus 7 equals 0. So now you're just solving an equation, so 5x equals negative 2. Divide by 5 and x equals negative 2/5. Then over here we add 7. 2x equals 7, divide by 2. X equals 7/2. We're going to do one more example for the day. Let's say we have 49x squared minus 81 equals 0. So again, this is the difference of two squares because 49 is a perfect square, x squared is a perfect square, and 81 is a perfect square. So you take the square root of each one, so the square root of 49x squared gives us 7x. Write it in both. Take the square root of the second one, which is 9. One's plus, one's minus, and it equals 0. So now we set each set of parentheses equal to 0. 7x plus 9 equals 0. 7x minus 9 equals 0. And then solve your equation. 7x equals negative 9, so x equals negative 9/7. Add 9, 7x equals 9. Divide by 7, x equals 9/7. So for these problems, we're using all the same factoring rules that we've been doing, but now you're just setting each set of parentheses equal to 0 and solving for x in the end. Let me know if you have any questions.